The world watches as a new trade war ignites. This time the flames are fanned by US President Trump's aggressive trade policies. His tariffs on Chinese goods have reignited tensions between the two economic giants. But the backlash extends far beyond Beijing. The European Union, a staunch US ally, finds itself caught in the crossfire. Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum have drawn sharp rebukes from Brussels, threatening to fracture the transatlantic partnership. From Paris to Berlin, European leaders warn of a trade war's devastating consequences. French President Macron calls for a united front against US protectionism, urging the EU to stand firm in the face of US pressure. German Chancellor Scholz echoes these concerns, warning that tariffs will harm businesses and consumers on both sides of the Atlantic. The message is clear. Trump's trade war is a global threat, and the world is watching closely. As the trade war escalates, businesses and consumers brace for impact. The uncertainty of global markets sends shockwaves through industries, jeopardizing jobs and livelihoods. Farmers fear losing access to crucial export markets. Manufacturers grapple with rising costs, threatening their competitiveness. The stakes are high and the consequences could be far-reaching. The world is on edge, waiting to see who will blink first in this high-stakes game of economic chicken. The European Union, long a champion of free trade, is not backing down. In a bold move, Brussels has announced restrictions on US agricultural imports, citing health concerns. At the heart of the EU's decision lies a growing unease over the use of certain pesticides in US agriculture. One such pesticide, paraquat, has drawn particular scrutiny. Paraquat, a potent herbicide used widely on US farms, has been linked to Parkinson's disease in recent studies. European health officials, citing the precautionary principle, have banned the use of paraquat within the bloc. If science says it's not safe, then we don't want it, declares EU Health Commissioner Olivier Varhelyi. The EU's import restrictions target US agricultural products, particularly soybeans, that are grown using pesticides like paraquat. This move, while framed as a health and safety measure, is seen by many as a direct response to Trump's tariffs. The EU, it seems, is willing to flex its regulatory muscle to protect its interests and send a message to Washington. The impact on US farmers, already reeling from the trade war with China, could be significant. Europe represents a key market for US agricultural exports, and the loss of access could have devastating consequences. Across the Pacific, China is not standing idly by. Beijing, long accustomed to US trade pressure, has unveiled its own set of countermeasures. China's strategy, however, goes beyond tit-for-tat tariffs. Instead, Beijing is playing a longer game, aiming to bolster its own industries and reduce its reliance on the US. One key element of China's strategy is tightening control over its technological edge. Beijing has imposed restrictions on engineers leaving the country, seeking to prevent the outflow of valuable expertise. Furthermore, China has limited exports of essential technologies, such as those used in battery production, crucial for electric vehicles and renewable energy. These moves are part of a broader effort by China to secure its position in global supply chains and become a leader in emerging technologies. "We will not be bullied," declares a Chinese Commerce Ministry spokesperson. "China will take all necessary measures to protect its interests." The message to Washington is clear. China is prepared to weather the storm and emerge from the trade war stronger than before. A world on edge. Escalating tensions threaten global stability. The world watches with bated breath as the trade war between the US, China, and the EU escalates. What began as a series of tariffs has spiraled into a complex web of sanctions, restrictions, and countermeasures. The rules of the game are changing and the consequences are unpredictable. The very foundations of the global trading system, painstakingly built over decades, are under threat. Multilateral institutions like the World Trade Organization struggle to mediate the dispute as countries resort to unilateral action. Trust erodes, replaced by suspicion and animosity. The uncertainty is palpable. Businesses, facing disrupted supply chains and volatile markets, delay investments and cut back on hiring. Consumers brace for higher prices and shortages of essential goods. The global economy, already fragile, teeters on the brink. The stakes are higher than just economic interests. Geopolitical stability hangs in the balance. The human cost of trade wars, jobs, prices, and uncertain futures. Behind the headlines and the political posturing lie the real-world consequences of this trade war. Across the globe, ordinary people are feeling the pinch. Farmers, their livelihoods dependent on access to foreign markets, face ruin as their crops pile up unsold. Factory workers, laid off from their jobs as production lines fall silent, worry about how they will feed their families. The rising cost of living adds to the pain. Consumers, faced with higher prices for everything from groceries to electronics, struggle to make ends meet. The American dream feels increasingly out of reach for many as the promise of a better future fades. The uncertainty takes its toll. Families postpone vacations, delay home renovations, and cut back on discretionary spending. The ripple effects of the trade war spread far and wide, touching every corner of the global economy. This is the human cost of trade wars, shattered dreams, broken promises, and a future shrouded in uncertainty. A call for cooperation. Can dialogue avert economic disaster? As the trade war rages on, a chorus of voices calls for calm and restraint. World leaders, business executives, and economists warn of the dire consequences of unchecked escalation. The time for brinkmanship is over, they argue. Dialogue and cooperation are the only path forward. We must resist the temptation to retreat inwards, urges UN Secretary-General Guterres, calling for a return to multilateralism and a rules-based trading system. The world is interconnected and we will all suffer if we fail to find a way to work together. The path to peace is fraught with challenges. Deep mistrust and competing interests make compromise difficult. Yet the alternative, a full-blown trade war, is too terrible to contemplate. The stakes are too high, the potential consequences too dire. The world holds its breath, hoping for a breakthrough, a glimmer of hope in these uncertain times. The future of the global economy, and perhaps even the fate of the planet, may depend on it.